Winston Churchill, the man who led Britain through its darkest hour during World War II. But behind his famous speeches, cigars, and V for Victory signs lay a world of secrets. Secrets of war, strategy, and symbolism that helped shape the modern world. Today, we uncover the lesser known side of one of history's most iconic leaders. Churchill wasn't just a wartime prime minister. He was a master manipulator of morale. He understood the power of words and visuals. The V for victory hand sign? It wasn't just a gesture. It was a calculated move to inspire the British public and demoralize the Nazis. Posters, broadcasts, and photos of Churchill were carefully managed to portray a fearless leader, even when Britain was under heavy attack. His speeches weren't spontaneous either. Every word was rehearsed, timed, and loaded with symbolism. Churchill personally approved bold deception operations. One of the most famous was Operation Mincemeat, where British intelligence tricked the Nazis into thinking that Allies would invade Greece instead of Sicily. How? By planting false documents on a dead body and letting it wash ashore in Spain. Churchill signed off on this morbid but brilliant plan. It worked, and thousands of lives were saved. He believed that in war, truth is so precious that it must be protected by a bodyguard of lies. Beneath the streets of London, Churchill's war rooms were a nerve center for decision making. From here, he coordinated battles, received intelligence, and communicated with world leaders. This underground world was kept secret from the public, a hidden fortress of strategy. Inside, you'd find maps with tiny pins tracking troop movements, secret phones linked to Washington and Moscow, and Churchill's private bedroom where he sometimes napped fully dressed. Churchill was more than just a man of speeches. He was a believer in science and innovation. He established the Churchill Scientists, a group of brilliant minds working behind the scenes. This team developed radar systems that helped Britain win the Battle of Britain and even early work on nuclear weapons. He also pushed for advancements in medicine and warfare technology, knowing that science could turn the tide of war. Churchill once said, "The future is unknowable, but the past should give us hope." He made sure that future was powered by brains, not just bullets. Churchill's leadership went beyond simply leading Britain. It was also about navigating the complex web of global alliances. He worked closely with Roosevelt and Stalin, forming what was known as the Big Three. But these relationships were far from simple. Behind the scenes, Churchill worried deeply about the rise of Soviet power. He once said he didn't trust Stalin, but needed him to win the war. Churchill constantly walked a tightrope, appearing united with the Allies publicly while privately planning how to limit their influence post-war. These secret tensions would later shape the Cold War, a conflict that Churchill foresaw before it even began. His famous Iron Curtain speech in 1946 was no accident. It was a warning born from the shadows he saw forming during the war. The personal struggles he hid behind the confident voice and cigars, Churchill wrestled with his deep personal battles. He called his depression the black dog, a shadow that followed him throughout life. During the war, the pressure was immense. He often drank heavily and worked through the night. Yet, he hid this side from the public, never allowing his personal pain to interfere with the image of strength. This duality of inner turmoil and outer confidence was one of Churchill's best kept secrets. Churchill was deeply aware of how he appeared in the public eye. He often wore military uniforms, even though he was a civilian, to send a message of strength. His iconic bowler hat, cigars, and cane weren't random. They were part of a carefully crafted image of stability during chaos. Even his grumpy expressions in photos were strategic, showing resilience and resolve in the face of enemy fire. Not all of Churchill's secrets were victories. The Bengal famine of 1943, where millions died, is often tied to his wartime policies and controversial priorities. While fighting Hitler, some believe Churchill ignored cries for help from British colonies. This darker side of his leadership is still debated by historians today. Churchill once said, "History will be kind to me, for I intend to write it." And he did, carefully shaping how the world remembered him. But behind the legend was a man who used symbols, secrets, and strategy to hold a nation together. A man whose war wasn't just fought on battlefields, but in hearts, minds, and shadows. And now, those secrets are slowly coming to light.